Hello. We're going to cut a notch in this piece of wood. The things that we're going to use are this circular saw. We're going to use a chisel and a hammer. I think you should just own a chisel. This is just like a 1-inch. This is a Stanley Irwin chisel. It's a great like intro chisel. I would say don't buy the cheapest chisel you can, because you're not going to buy stuff to sharpen it. So ideally it would like hold its sharpness for as long as possible. So we're going to use that. And then I'm going to use a speed square. If you don't own a speed square, I really think you should go buy a speed square. They're not very expensive. It's going to help you get straighter cuts, which is something that I know that you're struggling with the circular saw. So let's say you want to put this piece of wood into this piece of wood. That is called a lap joint, half lap, lap joint, overlap. Let's say it's gonna go here, and then it's gonna go here. We're gonna cut that out. I don't know how deep you want it to go. I'm just gonna kind of like mark arbitrarily. I don't know. Let's just say you want it that deep. I don't know. So we're gonna cut that out. Also, I think you should have PPE, which is personal protective equipment. You should have goggles, and you should have ear stuff. I'm wearing my earbuds, which are not good PPE, but whatever. Okay, we're gonna cut this out. You wanna set the depth of your blade to the depth of the cut that you want, the depth of the notch. The way to set it, unplug it, or take out the battery when you're doing this, just to be careful. Ow, fuck. So this is a little too deep, so I'm gonna open it up. You have to pull back the guard in order to set the depth, because you need to see how deep the blade's gonna go. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, cool. So I'm gonna make one straight cut on this side, one straight cut on this side, and then a bunch of relief cuts in between. If you have clamps, now is a great time for clamps, just to clamp this piece of wood down. You can even, if you want to, clamp the speed square to the piece of wood, once you know like kind of where your speed square is going to go. I don't know if you have clamps, so I'm going to do this without clamps, just so you know what it would look like to do it without the clamps. But if you can clamp this down, that's great. So when you are starting off with a cut, I'm gonna come all the way forward. My hand's not on the trigger. Notice it's nowhere near the trigger. There's no way I'm gonna turn it on. I'm gonna come all the way forward and line my blade up with the line that I wanna cut. And then I'm gonna slide my speed square next to it. So that's where it's gonna be. This is the point at which you could take the stuff off, clamp this down. Again, I'm just gonna hold it. But what you wanna do is, I don't wanna start my circular saw on the wood. I wanna back it up so that when I turn it on, it's not trying to like bite into the wood, and I'm not gonna get kickback. So this is gonna scare Oli. Sorry, hold on. Actually, he is fine. He's brave. He's actually eating wood. It's fine. So notice I started it off the wood, I rolled all the way through, and then I unclicked it and waited for the blade to stop, and now I can take it out. So I don't want to lift it out while the blade is still running, because it's running really fast and it could tap the wood as I'm coming out. Like it's like a game of Operation, where like if it hits the sides of the cut that I just made while the blade is still spinning, it's going to kick out of your hand. So let go of the trigger, let it come to a full stop, and then take it all the way out. So now I have this line cut. I use the speed square to keep it perfectly straight, and it's the depth that I want it to go. So now I'm gonna do that a bunch more times in the middle, and make relief cuts. I'm gonna spin it around, do the other side straight, and then I'm gonna do the rest of it without this, and because they can be wobbly and it doesn't matter. So I will probably edit this part of the video to be faster. definitely wear PPE because stuff was like flying up and hitting me in the face. So don't let any of that stuff hit you in the eye. So wear glasses, or better yet, go out and get goggles. So now I have all of these little relief cuts. They're all the exact same depth because that's how I set the blade. And now I need to knock them out. So again, a clamp is a great place to use this because it'll, I'm gonna be chiseling out, and I don't want to like fling this up and hit my foot, but I don't know if you have clamps, so I'm just gonna do it with that. I'm just sort of tapping this. There's like not skill involved. The lower down I can get the chisel, the better, but really we're just trying to like knock off the little proud bits. This is definitely the quick and dirty kind of way to do this. I was gonna show you how to do this with a router, and then I realized you'd have to kind of like build a jig because this is so wide. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I'm just knocking this stuff out, not really paying a whole lot of attention to what is happening. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I've got most of this stuff knocked out. I'm going to spend a little extra time knocking out the rest of it. And then I'm going to use like a file and sandpaper to sand it flat. What I was going to say is that you could use a trim router, this little jammer, to clean this up. But the problem is that you could do it on the edge, and then when you get in the center, this is too wide, so this fence won't help you. So you'd have to kind of build a jig around it so that this can't drop down. If you were just doing like a straight line or like kind of like a medium thing, and this fence could ride on the wood the whole way, you know what I mean? You could keep it up like this. Then you could trim, you could clean up the bottom with the trim router, but because this is so wide, it's going to be the width of whatever board you're lapping in there. You'd have to build something to put up here to keep this steady, and I don't really want to like get into all that. So I'm going to keep cleaning this up. I'll speed this up, and then we'll be done-ish. Oh, something I forgot to mention, your chisel is flat on the bottom and then it's angled on the top. So if you're trying to flatten something out, flip it over so that you can come in at an angle with what is now the flat side of this. So if you try to tap like this, you're going to dig into the wood. If you flip it, then you can use the bottom of this as your flat plane. Okay, this is all cleaned up. If I wanted it to be better, which you're making a piece of furniture, so you might want it to be a little cleaner than this, then you can get a file or a rasp or just like very low grit sandpaper, like an 80 grit sandpaper, and wrap that sandpaper around a block and go back and forth like a flat thing and go back and forth, and that'll clean this up. This is, let's see if it fits. Boop. Cool. Fits. Great. So that's how you cut a notch in a piece of wood. I think it's a great opportunity to like practice your circular saw cuts, to like practice going on a straight line, so you could draw a bunch of very straight lines here and then go slow and practice going straight without using the speed square. It'll get you more comfortable with it. I would say when you're cutting out those curves, like cutting out those little lines, go really slow. I did it really fast. I kept the saw on the whole time and I just went like zip, 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 but I've been using a saw for a really long time. So for you, just stop and start the saw a bunch, and take your time, and then you'll have this little notch. Okay, love you, bye.